So this is another chapter in my book. This is called Transformative Ability. Now, this chapter I'm still editing and rewriting, so I'm just going to give you kind of a Cliff's Note summary, kind of, or at least part that I'm probably going to keep still in this chapter. The greatest quality I possess is the ability to transform in the presence of defeat and adapt under every circumstance to ensure my survival and assert my dominance. Every struggle, hardship, and obstacle tests my character, but what truly defines it is my perseverance in the face of them. This passion to live and carry on a legacy worth remembering is what keeps this quality of reinvention fine tuned. It took years of committed self exploration for me to get to this place where I have learned to navigate the labyrinth of my own mind. But I encourage each and every one of you to explore your own and unlock this transformative talent. So then the next paragraph, I go into like talking about a little bit of my uh, a little bit of myself and a quality the quality of transformation applied to my life. But I'm not going to read that because I need to edit that. I realized uh, I wrote this a few years back, um, when I hadn't been in the therapy that I've currently been in for the past couple years, which has completely coincidentally transformed my my entire life, my thinking, and I'm currently in this place where I am healing and I'm recovering. So fully uh, I'm not fully healed. I'm very in the beginning stages of it. This has been like 2 years so far. So the reason why I want to get rid of this paragraph is because this paragraph is so boastful. so I am not afraid of anyone, and it's like that's a lie. I am human, so I have and experience fear just like every single person out there. Except the difference between the person that wrote this next paragraph, which I'm not going to read, and the person that I am now is that there's a little bit more humility here and a little bit more humbling of my ego and recognizing the strength in vulnerability, the strength to be able to say, you know what, something isn't okay, or hey, I need some help, or I'm really struggling with this and it hurts, or you know, my triggers have been set off. And knowing that that's not like a weakness, that is part of the recovery process, is having the knowledge, the awareness of what I've gone through, what I'm currently going through, how that is affecting my present in an effort to heal myself so I can actually be present in the present, working towards healthy decisions and healthy choices that set me up for the kind of future that I really would like to live and one that's fulfilling, you know? So now I'm more embracing that vulnerability from a place of strength rather than thinking it's weakness to be vulnerable, which I used to believe because that's how I was kind of conditioned to believe from my family, was to think that it was, yeah, it was weak. It was something to humiliate someone over if they were upset, if they cried, if they had strong emotional reactions of sadness or offense. So stuff like that. So I have to rewrite this from the perspective that I'm at now, because the perspective I'm at now would be like, listen, I do experience fear, but I am actively working to challenge myself each day to face what I need to face regardless of that fear. And I think that that's more a position of power and strength than the previous one, which was fear based. You know, so that's the difference. Someone boasting, I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid of anybody. To me, that kind of comes across as inauthentic, because to me, there's no such thing. From my experience observing people, my actual in person experience with people, reading how people treat each other and what their opinions online, it's a lot of data and information that kind of portrays, at least to me, that this isn't true strength from this person. This is a mask. This is a grandiose personality because they're probably so fear filled. Like at least maybe their inner child is so fear filled, which is understandable in a lot of circumstances, especially because of trauma and what it can teach a child. And then they grow up with that same perspective, fearing the world, fearing people. Um, but that's not strength. Strength is what I'm learning strength to be is being able to be like, you know what, I am afraid right now, but I'm not going to let that stop me. I'm still going to step up to the challenge, or I'm still going to uh, encourage myself to fulfill this goal. And even though I might be afraid of what might happen as a result of that, I know that this is me living in alignment with myself because it is what makes me passionate. It's also an opportunity to contribute not only to myself and letting go of things and healing, but also to other people and hopefully helping them with the contributions I put out there. So, yeah. Anyway, so I'll skip that paragraph and here's the last one. The power of identity can be strong, strong enough to make you brave when you've once felt fearful. I still very much experience fear and that nervous energy it brings with it. And I'm not embarrassed to admit this, but having such access to who I am from years of studying my own behavior and thinking, I am better equipped to overcome it, to diffuse it, and give it no power. You have this power too. Explore your mind, open that history book into your own past, and study your behavior. Learn how it's changed, learn how it's still the same. Things that bothered you or infatuated you, what influenced you or challenged you, your patterns, all your experiences, and the people you attracted or gravitated towards. Consume it all, internalize it, understand it, and find the keys in each reflection that allows you to open another door inside your mind and another door closer to the root of you, the powerful you. The only power we can ever truly call our own is the power of self. Harness this, and you can attract anything you want. Now, this isn't magical powers, just by the way. At least I haven't unleashed magical powers that I'm aware of. Maybe clairvoyance, but that's about it. Um, so, when I'm talking about the powerful you, I know the word power has such a negative connotations in our society, and there's abuses of power. People thinking they're so powerful that they're godlike and they're above God or whatever you may believe in. That's not what this is about. Like from my perspective, I definitely am defining powerful in my own way. The powerful you is a mixture of the gift of rebirth that I've cultivated throughout my life to survive my struggles. And it's me wanting to share with you how I unlocked that, at least to myself, and I'm totally aware that that may not help you, or that may not make sense to you, or what you require to unlock that ability might be totally different than what was required of me to unlock it for myself. And the way that your rebirth ability shows up in you may also be very different from how it showed up in me. So that's also something to keep in mind. Don't compare yourself to me, don't compare yourself to other people. Just worry about what feels right to yourself. Like ask yourself within, hey, how does this feel? Do I really feel like I'm transmogrifying in a very healthy and a very positive kind of way that is allowing me to rise into a better version of myself, or am I spiraling down? Am I over analyzing? Am I overthinking? Am I thinking this is a healthy choice, but actually it's a negative thing, and I'm actually becoming a worse off version of myself than a better one? So it's like questions to ask yourself. That transformative ability again goes back to the rebirth capability. They're all one and the same. The other part of the powerful you is healing. From my theory, at least currently, and this could change because I'm always thinking, philosophizing, intellectualizing like constantly. So this could totally change. Um, but I really believe that healing is so fundamental to cultivating a world in which the majority of us would feel most fulfilled in. I think the world does still need to challenge us, so we can't live in a total utopia, because some suffering and some hardship and challenge really does go a long way to shaping someone's character and also amplifying why the opposite, peace, love, connection, why those things are so important. It's truly like, all when I look back on all the things that I suffered through, I used to think that I was cursed. And at that time, I was just so bogged down by the suffering that I wasn't sitting back and saying, what am I learning from this actually? Or why am I going through these things again? What have I not learned? That God or the world, uh, through its energy, is trying to teach me or help me push through, by learning from, so I can move on to the next lesson. And the the healing of the self, I really believe, is the gateway to moving to the next step, which is helping others. It kind of reminds me of the oxygen mask and the plane theory, where you have to put yours on first before you can put yours on your child. And I think the same may apply to life. We all talk about wanting community and wanting to unify and come together, but how can we truly do that when we are so at odds within ourselves? There is so much, uh, going on in the world in terms of our mental health declining, narcissism rising, or narcissistic tendencies and traits rising in people. There's fear that's rising, fear of each other, fear of ourself, fear of success, fear of failure, like fear of dichotomies, fear of the opposites, the extremes of things, fear of the nuance that exist within the extremes. There's so much fear, there's so much anxiety, and that is creating a lot of disconnection and discomfort connecting. And so people are very much not really seeing the benefit of connecting. People are growing more distrusting of each other and the world around them, the systems of things. So, if we want to get to a place where we can recognize what we can truly bring to the table as our own unique self, that may help the world and help the others in it, then it seems kind of logical, at least to me, that it needs to start with the self. How can you help someone if you haven't even helped yourself? How can you help someone with their problem if you are not really fixing your own or even knowing how to do that? It doesn't mean that you don't have the knowledge or the awareness of what may actually help someone, because that's a very true thing. Sometimes we can give great advice to someone else that may help them, but then not take the same advice for ourselves. So that's a real thing. But if you're not helping yourself, you're not growing, you're not changing and rising into your best. So then how can you show up in the world as your best, which is what it needs? The world needs you at your best. We need to be better. So healing ourselves and focusing on that can really patch the things within ourselves that put us at odds with ourselves and with each other. And as long as we can learn to be authentic, learn to be in alignment with what truly makes us happy and what our worth is, then we might have a better chance at recognizing the value and worth in other people for who they are, rather than solely trying to find ourselves in other people. Because that can be important too, but I think then we kind of sit in the ego more, and that's not going to bring people closer together, in the long term. So I think healing the self is very important. That's why at the beginning of this book, I give steps, and step 1 is to heal yourself, 2, heal others, 3, unify. So that's transformative ability, and a lot of me talking right now. Sorry.